So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 3 of season 5 of the Shop Stool Podcast. And we've got another wood dust guest joining us today. This time he's from a different time zone, though. One that's a bit more tricky. He's already mentioned twice that this is earlier than he normally likes to get up. So we'll see how energetic this conversation is. But all the way from the UK, I would like to welcome Matt Estlea. How are you this morning?
Very good, thank you. Very good. How you doing?
Good. Is it Estlea or is it Estlea?
It's going to be my first question.
So it's Estlea, but there is at least,
Estlea.
I want to say, 5 different variations that often happen. And that one you've just said is the least common. It's usually Estlea, Estlea, all sorts. But yeah, it's just Estlea.
I think you're our first British guest. We haven't had anybody from the UK on.
Oh, sweet. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
You're right.
Yeah.
Represent.
Yeah, mainly Yanks and Aussies and Kiwis.
Oh, well, there you go.
And we had Paul.
Paul from Medet, yeah.
Yeah, Medet, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
there you go. Pleasure.
A good place to start is obviously to just for everyone who doesn't know who you are, just to get a bit of an understanding of how you got to where you are now. I mean, at this stage, you've got a massive presence on YouTube, a bit of a cult following, I would say, particularly in relation to your latest video. So just give us a quick history tour of how you got to this point.
Yeah, sure. So going right to the beginning with things, when I was in secondary school, I don't know if the school structures are the same out there in the US, but secondary school is like sort of 11 to 16 years old. And when I was in there, I was doing a sort of technology kind of woodworking class. And afterwards, I was planning on going to college and studying like history and astronomy and various other things. But towards the end of secondary school, we had this... it was a support teacher who came in, and it turned out he made bespoke boxes. And when...
Just on the side, or was it...
Just on the side, yeah. He just made them in his garage. And he bought one in one day. Apparently it was worth about £6,000 or £7,000, just this jewellery box. And it just blew my mind when I saw it. So I was like, right, the only reason I'm going to this other college is because my mates are going there. Like that's the only reason I'm doing it. And so I decided to kind of 3 months before finishing secondary school and starting this college course, I dropped it all and signed up to a furniture making school in Oxford. So I had to commute there an hour each day. It's actually only 3 days a week to start with, but I did that for a total of 5 years because I did a college course for 2 years, and then that progressed into a degree, which turned into 3 years. And towards the end of the degree course, so about year 4 or so, some personal circumstances just made me be like, well, I was in a bad place. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I actually did YouTube videos growing up. I watched Jackass at far too young of an age, and so I took inspiration from that. And so me and my friends used to recreate...
Not what your parents want to hear.
Yeah. How many broken bones, Matt?
None, actually. I've never broken a bone in my life, somehow. But yeah, we used to watch their videos and then recreate them when we were younger. And so I kind of like blended this love for YouTube with this love for woodworking, and just this sort of like awful place I was in just gave me the reason to kind of get rid of all worries of judgments from other people and stuff. And I just started filming in the college. So my earliest videos you'll see, I was filming in a workshop with like 30 other students around, which was terrifying. And then, just to cut a long story short, I got sponsored a workshop afterwards by Rycote Wood. So I started filming tutorials in there. That progressed into more kind of casual videos rather than lecture style videos, I would say. So sort of documenting how I would go about a certain process or projects I'm making. And that's just evolved into this kind of, I mean, you'll call it a cult following, I'll say like a community sort of thing. You know, it's amazing really what people have kind of grasped onto over the years. And I absolutely love it. I love it. Just for me, I still get so much enjoyment from just the video aspect of it. Like editing the video, posting it, like that's what I live for at the moment. And that's it in a nutshell. Well, that's a big nutshell, but that's it.
So in relation to your videos and your video editing, something that I really picked up in the last video that you put out, because the first video that I saw from you was probably about 2 years ago. That's when the algorithm, the gods, started pushing your content, and I would imagine that's when you would have seen a bit of a ramp up in your popularity. So the last regular content of yours that I was watching was a couple of years ago, and then this latest video with your shop move, the difference in quality in terms of the videos is just unreal. I get the impression that you either just have a love for video editing, or there's a little bit of, was there any, and I don't think you mentioned it now, but was there any studying involved there, or did you do any courses outside of uni that might have helped you along the way? Because it's such a fluid the storytelling. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I mean, so for me, like, the biggest compliment I get is when someone compliments my editing. So thank you. Like the woodworking, I think I've done it long enough now. It's like, yeah, all right, I've heard that before. But editing's like, so thank you. So in terms of editing, the only formal tuition I've had is when I first started sort of filming videos. I went on a quick 5-day crash course to learn Premiere Pro, and that was just sort of learn what the buttons do. In terms of storytelling, that has just been something that I've refined over the years. In fact, I actually made a hard transition into this kind of style of storytelling when I did the video Living in the Workshop during COVID a couple of years ago, because I was just sort of like, I wasn't fond of my style of editing, didn't really enjoy it, and I was just like, I'm going to do something different. And so I did this like crazy weird intro, and I remember a couple of my friends watching. They're like, "Are you sure people are going to like this?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it was fun to make. I'm going to post it." And yeah, it went down so well. So I did a whole stint of videos that year. I did changing an Amazon Basics plane into a sort of Lee Nielsen quality plane. I broke a dovetail speed run record, so I cut a dovetail as fast as I could. There was like this commission I did for a viewer. All sorts of videos that year were sort of piggybacked off this editing style. And it takes so long to get the videos together, but I absolutely love it. My favourite one of all is the dovetail speed run record. But it's just something that was like, it has been refined over time. I've watched a few tips here and there on YouTube of how to tell stories, and I actually went on a YouTube course recently with a kind of YouTube strategist consultant kind of thing to kind of put more intention behind what I put in videos, because there is a lot of fluff sometimes. There's a lot of like unnecessary stuff there, and it's more like, how can we optimize it to be like as enjoyable as possible on the main channel, and then any extra fluff that people still enjoy, can we ship that off to the second channel instead, and have that as like a community building platform, and then have the main storytelling kind of general audience stuff on the main one. So that was really good, but mostly it's been self-taught and sort of shaped by myself over the years.
You can definitely see the progression that you're talking about. Like, I am the least content makery out of the three hosts on this podcast. So Joey and Robin have really big profiles. I do a video, what do you reckon, Robin, once every 2 years? And it's basically just making one piece just to show the clients or to show exhibitions or trade shows of how the piece was made. But I don't watch that many YouTube makers. The ones that I do watch have to have a sense of personality in them. Mm-hmm. And I think your videos really, well, I don't know you because I've never met you, but I can pick up in the type of person you are. I get a sense of humor out of them. I laugh with them, and I look forward, like, they're one of the few videos that I actually look forward to getting a notification for. So you've hooked me in anyway. But
thank you.
Yeah, no, I love the sense of fun. I love I've got a personal hatred for river tables. So fuck it. I love your approach to it. That it was just not only poking fun at it, but poking fun at it in a, I'm gonna do a really serious project, but in the most ridiculous way possible. So if people have not watched the river table, I can highly recommend it.
Yeah, that one was a really fun video to do. I mean, so like videos for me are a bit of a release, I would say. I think that's why I kind of love them so much, because there is this like, you know, it shows my personality a lot. And for me, it's like, it's weirdly, it's so much easier for me to show my personality in videos and stuff like that than it even is in person. I'm actually quite like, people meet me and they're like, you're a lot more reserved than like you come across on camera. And I don't know, videos for me are a release. I enjoy making them. And it's just funny to see what situations I somehow find myself in, like that river table one. Like when the table snapped in half and things like that, like just how things like that happen and how I have to somehow find a way to recover from it. It's just so fun and just hilarious to watch back on as well, like having this documented history of all the sort of mishaps I've had over the years.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But I think what's really commendable is, though, that it's definitely easier to put your own personality into project videos. I think, like, I find that quite simple, but to do it into instructionals and to make them fun and engaging is really, really hard. And I think things like the dovetail record, it was just such a how nobody had really thought of doing it before, and the way you approached it. Talk us through how that came about. Like, did somebody tell you what the dovetail record was, or was it out there in YouTube land as a come and break this?
So I was actually chatting to my friend about this yesterday. So that video, firstly, the context of it is Rob Cosman, another woodworker based out in Canada.
That's right. Yeah.
He cut a 3.5 minute dovetail about 10, 12 years ago or something like that, and it did the rounds on YouTube, did really well. And he that was probably what his reputation was kind of built off. Like, that is the foundation of it, and he's a brilliant woodworker. So that's always been ticking away in the back of my mind. And when I was editing videos that year, I came across this bit of music that really tense, like heavy rock, and it just had this like amazing build in it. And this like subconscious link just happened where it was like, that music cutting a dovetail as fast as possible. That sounds stressful. Let's do that. And so the whole video, the whole record at the end, that music behind it, that really tense like rock music, that was what sparked that whole video. And then the rest we just built around it. So the whole challenge was legit. It was like actually based off Rob Cosman and all the things I went through and all the failed attempts. I went through so much wood. I've got a lot of negative comments on it, like trees died for this. Like, well, they were burnt. They went to warm an old person's home or something like that. But it was like, yeah, that's basically where the inspiration from that came from. And it was the most fun I've ever had filming a video, because a lot of it also was live streamed. We were doing daily live streams at the time, and so people were watching me live do these attempts, and so there was like actual little bits of interaction between me and a live audience in that video as well. So it
was that on YouTube or on Twitch?
That was on YouTube at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing, trying to do daily live streams and that, but yeah, it was just this brilliant video, really fun to edit, really fun to film, and yeah, it was great. And the record's actually since been beaten by one of my viewers as well.
Bastards.
Yeah, I know. So I actually put like a prize up for it. I think it was like a knife and maybe a saw. Oh, the actual saw that I used in the dovetail challenge, I gave him that as a prize for it. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Going back to your history, you talked about you studied and then you got onto the YouTube bandwagon. You're obviously doing commissions on what sounds like on the side. Is YouTube the core of your business, or is it commissions and you make videos about it? So with commissions, this is actually a misconception people have. I don't actually do, I was about to say that many commissions. I don't do commissions whatsoever. So my history, as well as the college course and the YouTube Jackass background and things like that, I actually started working at a tool shop in the UK called Axminster Tools and Machinery. They sell all the Lee Nielsen tools, Veritas, probably very similar to various tool stores out there in Australia. So I worked with them for 5 years.
simultaneously while studying the course. So the course gave me this kind of sort of practical knowledge of tools, and Axminster gave me this very strong theoretical kind of knowledge of tools. And so as I kind of started developing this YouTube channel and things, people were noticing tools that I'd made myself, and tools that I'd actually purchased from Axminster as well. And this whole like kind of premium tools kind of thing came as like a sort of underlying thing on the channel. Like, he uses nice tools, he makes nice tools. And so for me, the main source of my income is actually from making and selling tools to other woodworkers. I also sell digital plans and things like that. And, you know, obviously general merchandise and stuff. So I don't do commissions. And that was actually the reason one of the many reasons I got into YouTube as well. Because when I was at the college, we used to have talks from industry professionals. And the underlying message of all of them was that you never get to make what you want to make. You're always working to the spec of an interior designer or something like that. And like, it's always MDF. You're always putting MDF through a panel saw or through a table saw and lipping it and stuff. And I'm like, I've just put 5 years of my life into this course. I've put my £27,000 worth of debt on this uni course, and you're telling me that this is all I have to look forward to. Smashing. All right, great, brilliant. So I was just like, I should say that wasn't all of them. We had a few good talks from some really like inspirational, optimistic people, I should say. Like, there was a furniture maker in the UK called Alice Blogg, who gave this amazing sort of optimistic talk, and she was like, she acknowledged the kind of like, yeah, sometimes you're at the workshop until 11 or 12 at night, and sometimes like I've had friends around and we order pizza to the workshop while I'm working. And I remember us all being like, God, that's a bit weird. Like, imagine working that late at work, and now kind of doing that myself and actually ordering pizza to the workshop with my friends and stuff. It's like, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Like, work doesn't have to be clocking in at 9 and out at 5 every single day. Like, just work to your own hours if you enjoy it and be there. And like, that was the sort of spark that Alice Blogg gave me. And then, basically YouTube has been revolved around that. So the tool commissions, because at the end of the day, I make videos for woodworkers. And so it's very hard to sell handmade furniture to woodworkers and make a living out there. It actually makes more sense to focus on the tool side of things, which is both a good sort of income for me, and I love it. I love making tools. I'm an absolute nerd about them. Old tools, new tools, ones that I've made. It's so much fun just developing and learning how to make them. So that's where the majority of my income comes from on the channel. It's making the tools, and then you've obviously got the sort of YouTube AdSense, affiliate sales, a few donations, website sales and stuff like that. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
The purchase of the van, which I'm sure we're going to get into, you sold 1,000 knives, is that right?
Yeah, so that was, I didn't actually sell 1,000. So
you made 1,000.
No, I didn't even make 1,000. So I bought the mechanisms that I make them out of. I get those CNC'd down in the south of England, and I bought 1,000 of them. And the start of the video, when I filmed the intro, laying on the table, surrounded by all this hardware, I was like, this is 1,000 marking knives. Now, as I was going through the video, it turns out that making 1,000 marking knives is actually really hard. Like, so in the end, I actually only made 450, but I already had the intro.
Lazy bastards.
I already had the intro surrounded by all this hardware, and I didn't have enough to kind of make that cool intro again. So I was like, it looks better as a title, like 1,000, so I'll just do that.
That's creative liberties. You can take them.
Exactly. So no, I didn't quite make 1,000, but 450 or so were made, and they were sold overnight pretty much, which was insane.
Did you have permanent nerve damage in the end of your fingers after making
my
450 knives?
My neck. Yeah, looking down at the lathe all day, every day, sanding. I remember having like shoulder pains as well, just from like sanding. on the lathe, because it's like my lathe is slightly too high, so like it was in my traps, like having my shoulder kind of elevated, and oh man, it was rough. And I obviously poisoned myself with the sort of toxic wood dust one time as well, and off fumes from cellulose sanding sealer, because it was such a small workshop and I was being an idiot. Yeah, man, that was good times. That.
So that was in your old workshop, which was your first workshop, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I had the workshop sponsored to me by the college, and then that was in one building for 1 year, and then the workshop that I filmed the majority of my videos in was this, the one that you're talking about, the one that I made.
Yeah, the one with the mezzanine floor. And
yeah, I was there for about 4 years or so, 4.5, I think. That's what I said in the last video. Yeah, 4.5 years I was in that one for.
The move out video and the emotions of it, I'm probably going to have to move out of MySpace this year. And when you were nearly in tears, I'm like, fucking stop it. Don't make me cry. Don't make me think about moving out. Don't make me think about it.
Man, it is rough. Like the connections we make to just a shell of a building that's often not the most comfortable place in the world. Don't know about yours, but mine was cold,
freezing
dusty.
cold, boiling hot.
yeah.
It's miserable.
Oh man, that was tough. That, I mean, I think throughout the whole thing I was just in a trance, like just kind of getting it done. It was only at the end, obviously what I filmed on camera, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is like 4.5 years.
Pause and take it in.
Yeah, tons of memories. And I was like, yeah, it's things like that. It's like, I don't want to put this out on YouTube. Like, it's quite
I'm so glad you did.
I don't think it came across as lame at all, honestly.
No.
It felt very, very authentic.
Yeah,
and I reckon anybody that's been moved out of a space by a landlord or something has had a similar feeling. So.
Yeah, it was... Thank you. It was a tricky time, a hard time.
And you'd actually lived in the workshop during COVID, right?
Yeah. I had this sort of weird in between with tenancies where, because I'm in rented accommodation, one of my tenancies ended, and there was this 10-day period where like my new one didn't start. And like, don't get me wrong, I had offers from friends, I had offer from family. I could have stayed with my girlfriend's family, who was, I think, 15 minutes down the road at the time. I could have stayed with them, but I like the challenge, content,
So talking about the workshop, so you've obviously moved into your new workshop, but I assume you haven't moved in its finality. This is still an ongoing process. How far along are you?
No, so we actually filmed the official workshop tour yesterday. So I think I should say I am officially moved in now, and that's 6 months later. I still need to do the dust extraction, ducting and stuff like that, but 99% of the way there. And like, I think, as both of you know, and anyone listening, you never truly move into a space. There's always something that needs to get done. So like, I'm calling it done for now, and we'll just sort of tinker with the rest of it from here on. But yeah, officially done. Workshop tour filmed yesterday. I've got one more video coming out as of recording this, where it's like sort of building up the space, and then the workshop tour will be after that.
How are you feeling about that video, the workshop tour? I mean, I guess you have really built the workshop move into your entire, like the idea of your channel is hinged around a move, but traditionally, woodworking tour or workshop tour videos can go south because they're seen as a bit of a filler video.
Yeah.
Are you confident that this one's going to be a winner?
One of the things that I've been really worried about is not necessarily the video itself, but I've seen it countless times where it's like a kind of alienation with viewers, where like all of a sudden small, a workshop full of character, like relatable space. All of a sudden you go from that to this kind of big industrial, clinical kind of workshop. That for a lot of people, I mean, I can think of a few people off the top of my head, that for a few creators has like shocked viewers out of watching their channel, because it's kind of like, oh, it's not the same, it's not, it's not relatable anymore, all sorts of things. And so I've been more conscious about that side of things. I've been really, really that's why this office is so like so homely. I've put like so much effort into like making it feel the same or as similar as possible to the old workshop, full of character, like nicely decorated, still kind of, I wouldn't say it looks relatable, but it's still like me. It's still like a reflection of me in this space, because when I moved in, it was just this cavernous kind of big industrial polished floor, like not a great representation. So I've put OSB up on the walls, and I've reconstructed like the set and things like that, to try and make it relatable. So I'm more worried about that kind of side of things. And so that's kind of what I'm just trying to work around that primarily, make sure that people still feel like I am I don't know, a good person to watch. It's not relatable. It's just like I haven't changed. Like, it's just more space to do bigger things, and get a little bit more. I don't know if the word professional is the word to use, because I think that's a bit of a stretch for me. But like, just take it a bit more seriously, because the other workshop, I had outgrown that at least 2 years ago. I should have moved all the way back then, but just circumstances and all that didn't allow me to. And even this time, it was a little bit of a shot in the dark. It's not been the smoothest landing. I mean, money is going down the drain with this van that really doesn't bring in a lot of income, and it is a big expense. Like, all of a sudden, this kind of relaxed kind of attitude that I had in the old workshop is just like, I've got my feet to the fire now. But that's what I needed. So we're just rolling with it.
What's the difference in the floor space of the old shop compared to the new one?
We worked it out. So I think the old workshop, 450 square foot. Do you guys use imperial or metric out there?
Metric.
Yeah. I don't even know what we use here.
But what, it's about 3 times bigger or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I'll let you do the maths. So 450 square foot was the old workshop, 600 square feet if you include the mezzanine floor. This one is just over 2,000, so about nice. 4 times the size. In fact, just the main machining area itself, that I've got the bandsaw, planer, sanders and power tools in, that alone is just twice the size of the old workshop. So it's an amazing space. I can park the entire van in there when I'm working on it. So like, I'm not subject to the wind and rain and all this other stuff that I had to deal with in the old workshop. It's a brilliant space.
Be huge.
Oh,
that must be such a different ball game. No more muddy feet.
Cutting skylights in a van while it's raining is not the smartest move. But it wasn't raining when I started, and then it started tipping it down. So.
And did the fact that you're saying you outgrew the smaller workshop, do you think that's what made you gravitate towards smaller projects, or is it in your nature to be interested in more compact and detailed things rather than larger pieces? Like, did it come from seeing the box maker, like the teacher that you're saying, that inspired you at the start? Yeah, I mean, part of the sort of, I did really like that old workshop, and it did suit my style of making, because, yeah, you're right, I do like making smaller, kind of more intricate things. But then there was the occasional circumstance, like the river table, where it's this huge dining table, and it takes up the one bit of floor space in my workshop that I could, stand at. So it's this huge project. It made it so much slower just to try and flip the thing over and work between the top and the bottom. So a little bit of moving was like necessity, and it just gives me a bit more freedom to do those bigger projects, hopefully a little bit more optimally. And like with regards to the, I want to start looking into hiring people soon. So getting a video editor, hopefully getting someone to help make tools and, just get things running a little bit more smoothly, so it's not all hinged on me. And the old workshop was just not a good place for even to get visitors in. I didn't even have means of making tea in there because I had no running water. The one time I made tea, I had to do it from the garden tap outside. Which, as a Brit,
very professional,
unacceptable in England or Ireland.
Yeah, I know. It was with someone of the older generation as well, so they were super critical about it. So yeah, it was sort of necessity, I would say.
The van fit out. Have you ever done a van before, or have you lived in a van, or What?
Nope.
What? Never?
No, another shot in the dark.
Okay.
Another shot in the dark.
Okay.
Never done a van, but I've always wanted a reason to learn electrics, 12 volt and 230 volt, 240 volt, I don't even know, but electrics, I've always wanted a reason to learn that. Maybe not so much plumbing, but like doing a van conversion. Firstly, it's like a smaller scale house project, so you learn a lot of domestic wiring and stuff like that. And it's just like the only way it works is if you do it, and so you have to learn it. Whereas if I've just sat down before and been like, I'm going to learn electrics, I'm going to learn circuitry, sure enough, you get to the point where something doesn't make sense, and it's like, just do woodworking. There's no reason. There's no reason to learn it. So it's like that's been the biggest kind of thing I've got from that van, but never done it before. Never done it.
Yeah, the skills you'll learn along the way are just and you're going to keep those for the rest of your life. So when you need them, they're there.
Oh, it's unlocked so many ideas for videos in with regards to woodworking. So like all of a sudden, I can implement 12 volt electrics into some woodworking projects, like mechanisms and lights and all these other things where it's, people will be listening to this and they're like, that's so simple, 12 volt wiring. I had absolutely no idea. Didn't even know how to wire a plug. Yes, they taught it in school. I've forgotten it. And every time I did try and learn it, I would forget it again. Like now having gone through I'm not even at that process yet, but all the research, I've got loads of books behind me here based on electrics. Like I never learned it, never had a reason to learn it. And now this is finally there. I'm just a little bit later to the game compared to some people.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we are setting up this podcast is Matt is coming out to Australia later this year in May, which we're already in. I've just checked the date, so it is 3 weeks away. Yeah, you're coming out to Wood Dust 23, which is going to be in Melbourne, and we're going to get to meet you in person, which is super exciting. So we're going to, after this recording, we're actually going to do a bit of promo work with Matt, and we're going to do some filming. But just in a nutshell, have you been to Australia before?
I have been to Australia before. I'm not very good with dates. I can't remember when. I was quite young. But I've got family out there who live in Sydney. It's some weird connection. It's like my nan's brother's family. I don't know what that makes it. But yeah, they're sort of scattered throughout Sydney. So we went and met them. We were in Sydney for a week. Then we went up to Brisbane, and then we were up in Cairns, and then flew back to Sydney for a couple of days before flying home. So I think I did 3 weeks out there in total, and loved it. Okay. Loved it. Yeah.
Well, it's we're super excited about this. Your videos that you've been posting on Instagram, they definitely make me think that you are excited as well. I did like your little tagline. How many times did I say excited during this video? It's going to be a very, very exciting show. In terms of what you are hoping to bring to the event, have you thought about that much, or are you just going to wing it when we get there?
I feel like I kind of perform a little bit best when I wing stuff, generally. I mean, obviously I'm going to try and understand the parameters of what I actually need to do when I'm there, rather than wing the whole thing. But really, like, being slightly sleep-deprived, delirious, winging it, as long as I'm being, conscious around machines and stuff, the rest will be absolutely fine.
Entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Winging it should be absolutely fine. I'm really looking forward to it. There's all sorts of people out there who I've never met before, people who I have always wanted to meet, people who I have met before who I'm going to get an opportunity to meet up again with. Like, it's a crazy opportunity. It's crazy.
Can I ask projects wise, what's the next thing you want to make?
So we've got a couple of ideas. First one, if we're going on project route, my drill bit storage at the moment is an utter catastrophe. I just throw them all in drawers. They're all banging against each other, Forstner bits, wood cutting bits, metal cutting bits, like all in one drawer. So this kind of relates to the 12 volt wiring side of things. I want to do a drill bit cabinet that, it's got LED lights in it. That's a nice easy one. But I want to have it so when you open the doors, the shelves kind of like slightly tilt forward. So the drill bits are stored upright and they tilt forward at maybe 30 degrees, so it makes it easier to take them out. And I don't know if you have those like parking garages or whatever in Australia where above each bay is a green light if it's available, but if there's a car in there, it turns red. So I want to have that. Every drill bit has a green light above it. If you take it out, it turns red, and then you can
like it.
I don't know why, because you can easily see that the drill bit's missing. It's probably easier to see that than the light. But I think
what about automating it? So if it's a red light for more than a day, there's a $10 fine that comes out of your bank account if someone goes to charity, because I am the worst at not putting drill bits back too.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, that's the reason for it. They're just all chucked to the drawer. I don't know what I have. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I've swept up. Like, it's a nightmare. So yeah, that's kind of the reason for it. But again, it's sort of the reason to implement a bit of electrics and test myself a bit.
That can be a huge winner, because when you get to take your woodworking video and push it into the technology space on YouTube, that's massive. I did a video a while ago where I put a wireless charger into a bedside table. Mm-hmm. So it was hidden in the bedside table. And that video did so exponentially well compared to the rest of my videos, and I believe it's just because there was a bit of computers, technology, electronics, that kind of thing involved, because it opens up a whole new space, and a space that is very big and a lot of people are interested in.
Does that video still go, Robin?
No, I'm still a little bitter about that video, because that video, I got to the front page of Reddit with that video, and it just tanked on YouTube. So everyone watched it on Reddit, and I thought, right, here we go. Now they're all going to follow me onto you. And no, they didn't. It just stopped at Reddit. So I have this amazing accolade of getting to the front page of Reddit, and then it just...
I wonder how much of that is down to the fact, like, technology does sort of, it's an exciting, shiny new thing, and then it kind of tapers off again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the first person who implements some sort of like AI user sort of, speech interface into furniture, like that's going to pop off. It's going to pop off. But
wasn't it Make Something? Oh my word, I can't believe I've forgotten his name.
Oh, David.
Jimmy. What's his surname?
David Picciuto?
Picciuto, yeah.
Dave Picciuto, yeah. It was probably about a month ago. He did a video where an AI developed and designed a project for him, which I thought was a really interesting. So I think that's sort of what you're saying. It's people not jumping on that bandwagon, but let's implement it and see how interesting this makes it.
Yeah, you need to. I mean, trend jacking like that. That's. Apart from anything, like, yes, it could be a little bit sellout-y, but it also gets more eyes to woodworking. You're opening as many woodworkers' eyes to AI as you are AI enthusiasts to woodworking. Like, it is a kind of beneficial exchange, I would say. It's probably just more AI people seeing woodworking, I suppose. But yeah, it is a beneficial thing. It's super exciting, all that. I love it. Like that image generator he used, Midjourney, for it.
Midjourney, yeah.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. Like, it's brilliant, just for thumbnail kind of concepts and just messing around, like pink panda shooting something, I don't know, like it just creates it without hesitation. It's brilliant.
It's a subscription model to get onto it, isn't it?
You got 5 or 10 free searches, I think.
Yeah.
And I'd encourage anyone to mess around with it. It's so fun. It's a little bit of weird to get onto it because it's on Discord, but yeah, I mean, I'm like inches away from getting the subscription just so I can permanently mess around with it. But I think Adobe are bringing out one as well very soon, so that might be included in subscription models.
Thumbnail generation. I mean, if you can find a winning product there, that's going to pay for itself very quickly.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. That was one of the biggest things I learned from this course I went on recently. Like the amount of effort you actually need to put into a thumbnail. I was like, yeah, I know you need to put effort in.
The science of a thumbnail.
Oh, it's mad. Well, it's like, people put all this effort into a video, and then at the very end, they're like, what's the thumbnail? Or what's the title? And it's like, if people don't click, if that thumbnail and title isn't captivating enough, then your whole video that you've put days and whatever effort into, it's never going to be watched anyway. So actually, like what a lot of people do is they'll figure out okay, what's the title and what's the thumbnail first before even filming the video, because then that kind of qualifies whether the video is good or not. Which it was just mind blowing. It's like you're working backwards, but it's like no, you're actually
so backwards.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you do a ton of idea generation. You come up with a few good ideas. Which one of these make a good thumbnail? And then you sort of you discard other ones. I'm like, damn, like that's so weird. So, and I think a balance.
I've kind of heard of similar. Didn't Martin Scorsese? I can't remember whether it was Gangs in New York or it might have been an earlier movie. He basically it was Casino. He had the soundtrack before he'd filmed the scenes in the movie.
Oh, right.
So they dictated the tempo of the scenes.
Yeah, do you know what? I heard of this recently as well. If we were chatting about it yesterday again. This is the second time I've referenced this. It's like deja vu almost. But yeah, so like we were saying, if you know the music beforehand, if you have that kind of subtly playing in the background when you're filming the scenes, you know the kind of tone to speak in, you know sort of what words to use and what pacing. I hadn't thought of that before, so it's funny that you bring it up again. That's like really being drilled into my mind now.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it earlier with the dovetails.
Yeah,
how the soundtrack. Yeah,
yeah. But that was
video, would that have helped or hindered though, having that playing in the background?
That's the thing. So that was the inspiration for the video. But if I had that playing while doing it, whew, no, man, that would have been stressful.
Cool. All right. Well, we're coming up to time. So let's call it here. So for everyone who wants to look you up, Matt Estlea on Instagram and YouTube, just search the name Matt Estlea and they'll find you.
Yep, that's it. I'm on Twitter as well. I occasionally put rubbish on there, but yeah, YouTube and Instagram primarily.
Cool. All right, and thanks again for coming on. Really do appreciate it. This is
been great.
For everyone listening. This has really come together quite quickly. Matt's been super helpful, and because there's a lot of promo going on for the Wood Dust event, this has all happened a lot quicker than all of us expected. So, yeah, thank you, Matt. Really appreciate you being flexible.
Joey is going to be raging that he missed this.
Yeah, he was looking forward to it. He was really looking forward to it.
I'll catch up with him in Australia, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so with that in mind, just one more plug. 20th and 21st of May, you can come see Matt in Melbourne at the Meat Market for Wood Dust 23. As he's just said, he will be in Australia for that. So we look forward to shaking your hand in person and buying you a proper Australian beer.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. All right, Matt, take care. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks. Bye.